Hey tens, Elliptis here. Today we're going to learn about multiplying and dividing fractions. In the previous video, we learned how to add and subtract fractions which were both like and unlike. And in that video, I also showed how to add and subtract mixed numbers both with like and unlike fraction parts. And that made the video too long, so this time I'm breaking it into two, and for this one we're just going to focus on multiplying and dividing fractions. And the good news about multiplying and dividing fractions is that you don't need to worry about whether they're like or unlike. Some terms to know. A reciprocal is a value that when you multiply a number by it gets you the number 1. And this is the only term you need to know for this video. So if we have this equation, 4 times something is equal to 1. Well, we need the reciprocal because that value will make this equation true. But what value makes this equation true? What value is our reciprocal? Well, you look at it. 4 is greater than 1, so you'll have to multiply it by something that's less than 1 to get it to be less. So we need to multiply this by a fraction. But what fraction do we multiply this by? Well, let's see. Let's draw a hole here. And that hole will be symbolized using this circle. And the circle is 1. And we need 4 times something to equal this hole. But how do we get 4 parts that equal to this hole? Do we get 4 holes? No, that won't fit. This is not equal to 1. But you can see my idea here. What we do to make this equation true is we would divide this hole into 4 parts. Like this. And I mean 4 equal parts because 4 times something equal to itself is equal to 1. So what is this? What is this part? This is 1/4. And so since 4 times 1/4 is equal to 1, 4 of these parts are equal to the whole, we can put 1/4 here. And we can do the same with other equations. Like, let's take 1/2 times something is equal to 1. Well, what times 1/2 is equal to 1? How many halves go into 1? Well, 2 halves is equal to a whole. So our answer would be 2 here. And if you're noticing an emerging pattern, you can see that this and the denominator are the same. And here, the denominator and this number are the same. So if we can write this whole number as a fraction, this would equal 4/1. And this is already a fraction. So times 1/4 is equal to 1. And you can see that the numerator and denominator of these two have been reversed. And then they equal to 1. And same here, if I write 2 as a fraction, this would equal 2 over 1 times 1/2. Or you can put the 1/2 here, it doesn't matter. And this is equal to 1 too. So a basic rule of thumb when trying to find the reciprocal is just to flip the numerator and the denominator, and you get your reciprocal. And this is the basis for division, as we'll see in future slides. So how do we multiply fractions? We multiply fractions by multiplying the numerators and multiplying the denominators. So we do this separately. And then once we're done, we put the results as a fraction. The product of the numerators is the answer's numerator, and the product of the denominators is the answer's denominator. And to see why this makes sense, I have linked a video down in the description that explains more about this. And then the last step is to simplify if we need to. So let's try some examples. Let's take the first one, 3/4 times 1/2. These are common fractions that we see quite often. So let's just follow the steps. Well, first we multiply the numerators. So 3 times 1 is equal to 3. And then we multiply the denominators. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. And all we do is put our fraction line in between. So our answer is 3/8. Simple, right? It's much easier than addition or subtraction. But why is 3/4 times 1/2 3/8? Well, we can see that 3/8 is smaller than 3/4 and 3/8 is smaller than 1/2. So what does multiplying something by a fraction even do? I have linked a video on that in the description as well, so you should go ahead and check it out if you're curious about that. So let's go to this second example, 8/7 times 5/6. So let's do the same thing we did there. 8 times 5 is equal to 40. 7 times 6 is equal to 42. We just put the fraction line in between. But this isn't simplified, and we need to simplify it. So how do we simplify this? Well, as I showed in the previous video, we simplified this by finding the GCF and dividing both the numerator and the denominator by that GCF. So what is the GCF of this? Well, we can see that an immediate one is 2, but we don't know if that's the GCF. So let's just divide this by 2 for now. And we get 20 over 21. Is that our final answer? Well, for that, we need to figure out if there's a GCF. And it seems there's no GCF for this, so this is our simplified answer. Alright, let's move on to dividing fractions. How do we do this? Well, we follow the same steps as multiplication, except we multiply the dividend by the reciprocal of the divisor. That's all we do. After that, it's just simplification. So let's try some examples. Let's take the first one. 9/4 divided by 4/7. Okay, first let's take the reciprocal of the divisor. But what is the divisor? Well, if we put it like this, 9/4 is our dividend and 4/7 is our divisor. So the second number is always the divisor. Okay, so let's find the reciprocal of 4/7. As I showed you in the terms to know slide, all we do to find the reciprocal is switch the numerator and the denominator. So let's just do that. The reciprocal of 4/7 is equal to 7/4. See? So now this becomes 9/4 times 7/4. And to see why this makes sense, I have linked another video in the description explaining this. So let's just solve this like it's a normal multiplication problem, and we'll get our answer. 9 times 7 is equal to 63, and 4 times 4 is equal to 16. So this is equal to 63/16. Now, can we simplify that? No, we can't. So 63/16 is our final answer. And I encourage you to pause this video and try this one out. It's a little different than this, but see if you can solve it. Alright, I'm supposing that you're done and now you're waiting for me. So let's see. 3/8 divided by 6. If we want to write this as a fraction, this is the equivalent of 3/8 divided by 6/1. So what is the reciprocal of 6/1? Well, if we switch the numerator and the denominator, 6/1's reciprocal is 1/6. So we multiply 3/8 by 1/6. And there's an easier way to simplify fractions if you don't want to go through the hassle of finding the GCF and all that. You cross divide. So you look at the ones that are across from each other and see if they have any GCF. So 8 and 1 have the GCF of 1, so that can't be simplified, but 3 and 6 have a GCF of 3, so we can divide both of these numbers by 3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 6 divided by 3 is 2, so this is basically equal to 1/8 times 1/2, and we get 1/16 as our answer. Now, if we didn't do the cross division and just solved it normally, we would get 3 times 1 is 3, and 8 times 6 is 48. And the GCF of this is 3, so this is literally equal to 1 and 16. So that's the same thing. And 1/16 is our answer. Thanks for watching. If you liked this video or this helped you, click that like button. If this didn't help you, click that dislike button. I greatly appreciate feedback. If you want more updates on new videos, click that subscribe button and turn on notifications. If you have any questions related to this topic, please put those in the comments below. And remember, the comment section is the equivalent of a class discussion, so if you have any answers to any of the questions, you can answer them. If you have any suggestions as to how I can improve my future videos, or even what I should do next, put those in the comments below as well. If I like your suggestion, I'll be sure to include that in the next video and give you a shout out. See you in the next one.